Mr. McCauley, you have the floor for 5 minutes, please.
Mr. Nobley, thanks for being with us today. You mentioned earlier that you were aware of conflicts of Ms. Van Sheeren because of your work together with the Science Innovation Council and another council. I assume that's correct?
No, that's not correct.
So you were not aware of any, you weren't aware of any conflict that she had with
No, I was aware of two things. Let me be clear.
Okay, what two things, please?
Appointment. Yeah, just a second. Can I complete my two things?
Go ahead.
One is that that as she was appointed and being onboarded, I was aware that she had reached out to the ethics commissioner and had guidance. The second thing is I was aware that Store had received a grant from SDTC 18 months earlier. So as a deputy minister, I was aware that that grant had happened. Those are the two things I knew.
Did PCO to address the conflict?
Sorry, what I understand, I have participated in some of these interviews.
No, but you did state earlier today, the comment was you expected PCO, the Privy Council Office, to address the conflict.
No. I said that when you go through a PCO process, merit-based, that there's a whole significant activity around conflict of interest.
So, as
it's
deputy,
actually a form, and it's about 40 pages about conflict of interest.
As deputy minister, you were not.
I know actually complained about the forms.
Thanks, sir. Interrupt because I'm short of time. So it sounds like you were not aware. This is not like one case of conflict of interest, or 2, or 10, or 15. This was like 90. This is it seems like the majority of the grants contributions were conflicted, and you're saying you were not aware of these. And what I'm getting at is, I've been at committee for 9 years in operations committee and this committee and other committees, and one thing that seems above all is the bureaucracy, deputy ministers, ADMs, all are extremely risk adverse, all have a CYA attitude. And I'm trying to comprehend how there was such rampant conflict that your ADM, who would be going out of his way to ensure that he was covering himself, did not inform you of these, that you did not inform the minister. How did all of this be kept? How was all this kept secret? This rampant conflict of interest, hundreds of millions of taxpayers' money being possibly defrauded.
Let me say several things.
Sure.
First of all, I was not a deputy minister during the period of COVID when there were these blanket exceptions. Number two.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt. These are not all just COVID related. Sir, these are not all COVID related.
I'm aware of that, but having said that, as I've already testified, there was a clean bill of health.
At 2017, not at
2018 and 2017. So how would I, as a deputy minister,
these conflicts happened between 2017 and 2019 before your departure?
Pardon me?
So none of these conflicts happened between 2017 and your departure midway through 2019?
No, I understand that the Auditor General has identified these issues.
Right. Let me just ask you,
in terms of the overall number.
Sure. Let me just move on to something else, sir. Just quickly, because I'm almost out of time. The contribution agreement between ISED and STDC 2003 states 20.03. Foundation shall disclose to the minister within a month of the foundation first becoming aware of any actual or potential situations that may be reasonably interpreted as a conflict of interest or potential conflict. Were any of these reported to you to report to the minister?
No.
So
what I would say is if you look at the evaluation of 2018, there is a reference to how in the governance there needs to be improved note-taking as well as improved
Specifically about
reporting.
the contribution
Can I finish,
agreement
please?
between ICE. No, sir, this is my time. And I asked a specific
Well, it's my
question. I'm
time,
not
too.
asking about 2017. I'm asking specifically about the contribution agreement. So at no time, 90 conflicts, $400 million. At no time was any conflict reported from the foundation, is what you're saying. As part of the contribution agreement, it's required, and yet no conflicts were ever reported.
No, I think there was, sorry, let me clarify. There is a process between SDTC and the department to report conflicts. This would go to the ADM of administration as well as ADM of clean tech. That's a process. There was one comment when I was deputy minister, when there were suggestions or recommendations that the note-taking be improved relating to this, and that the SDTC ensure that it passes on information to the department. I believe the Auditor General found that that information was not always flowing.
Thank you, Mr. Newbley.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Mr. Newbley, for appearing here today. So I just want to follow down the line of questioning of Mr. Macaulay and try to put some context into exactly what is happening here. So when we talk about context, and I appreciate that you've got 40 years of context to provide us, which I think is really helpful. So back in 2014, I believe Prime Minister Harper and his ministers were personally guiding some of the SDTC work. And this was towards energy projects in the north, the Arctic sovereignty, etc. And the PM was really big on that at the time, PM Stephen Harper at that time. Now, these projects unfortunately ended on a really sour note. I'm wondering perhaps if you can speak to the SDTC work early in your tenure as the Deputy Minister versus in your last year, and kind of compare and contrast with us how ministers get involved in the work that they do, that SDTC did back then to how it is now.
Okay, I'll do my best to answer that question. So I was for 1 year the Associate Deputy Minister of Natural Resources Canada. I believe it was 2007. And Minister Gary Lunn was my minister. And as you say, and it's reported in this Auditor General's report of 2017, there was activity related to carbon sequestration and storage and projects there that were examined. There was the eco energy initiatives that were part of the department. And then there was SDTC. What I can say is that Minister Lunn, like Minister Baines, was very eager to make progress on improving clean technology. But, sorry, one more thing. There was also a biofuels program. And you've asked about my history. I also was Deputy Minister of Agriculture with Minister Rich. And so we were very interested as Minister and Deputy in this biofuels fund. So all to say, what I observed as a deputy was there was lots of commitment and activity under both governments, whatever their stripe. There was a different orientation. You described well Prime Minister Harper's orientation. I think what I'd say in terms of the new Liberal government's orientation, it was about building clean tech companies to really promote growth and to commercialize their activities.
Thank you very much for that. And I just realized ex-minister Gary Lunn was named to this fund as well. I do have a list of a board of directors from this organization's inception. And I realized from 2007 to 2015, the majority of them were conservative donors. Do you think that where they decided to spend their dollars for political donations impacted the work that they did? I mean, I would like to know, because I know the Conservatives love to know, how and who and where and what and why. So I would also like to know, for context, do you think that any of these Conservative donors used their positions in SDTC in any way other than what was appropriate?
No. What I would say is that, honestly, the boards that I saw from 2017, which did have some former Conservative members on it, and the board that subsequently followed, this was not a political issue. It was really about how do we build clean tech in the country, because it really matters, and how do we help clean tech companies become global companies? How do we help clean tech be a leader? And honestly, what I saw.
Sir, I think you have a nosebleed.
I know. Sorry. See what you're doing to me, guys?
Chair, is it okay if we can just pause my time for a little bit?
Yes, yeah, we can suspend.
No, I'm okay. Just carry on.
Okay.
Because it's not going to stop quickly.
All right. You've got about 30 seconds, Ms. Khalid.
Thanks very much. So point being to our witness today, from 2007 to 2015, we saw a whole bunch of, in terms of context, a whole bunch of people that were appointed that were also card-carrying Conservatives that were donating to the Conservative Party. We've seen the former Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, personally getting involved in the SDTC and how this money is spent. Ultimately, I like to believe that this is not because somebody's got political agendas to fulfill. It is ultimately to help the clean tech sector. Would you agree with that, sir?
Yeah, as a deputy minister, I did not observe. I observed that everyone was committed to improving the clean tech sector and growing Canada's economy.
Thank you. That is the time.